he commits suicide, and
Exactly.
you go, I didn't know. That home should be a place where he can come in, open that door. Our manhood should be open and is more open to men really being vulnerable and saying, I'm not feeling well. And it's not macho versus then manhood was about how tough you can be. Dad, I don't want you to read about me. I want you to see. Everybody wants success, but the roadmap to success, the platform to success, the blueprint to success is always through areas and dark holes in our lives where we have to face some things that will challenge us, but ultimately really develop us into the man God really wants us to be.
What's up, D?
What's up, man? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, brother. So glad you decided to tune in again to another episode of My Manhood Matters. Real men, real times, real journeys with Charles Sneed. Today, I have the pleasure of hanging out with my brother from Cincinnati, Ohio. Him and his wife have been dear friends of mine for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Demetrius Short.
Charles, thank you for having me, man.
Man, you know I cannot be on this platform without having my brother who taught me the ins and outs of community leadership and what it takes. Man, what's been going on with you, D?
Man, we've been enjoying life. Got a birthday coming up, traveling a little bit.
Right.
Coming across some great platforms with 15 years of nonprofit leadership, 30 years of IT, tech, healthcare experience, and a 51st birthday.
Come on,
I'm loving life and living it, man.
Dude, I think you got it. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show, because to me, you represent a Renaissance man well. I wanted to create a platform where we can talk as brothers, but also allowing other brothers to hear your stories to those who are going through. The number one question I really want to ask you, D, is this. When you think about manhood, what comes to your mind? What word comes to mind?
And the word that comes to mind for me is courage.
Okay, let's talk about that.
And to be courageous, and that comes with men being open and vulnerable, to know that there's no really blueprint to, really what manhood really is.
Right.
Manhood is developed through all of our struggles, all of our fears, all of our obstacles. And who wants to be successful and not have to go through those things? Everybody wants success, but the roadmap to success, the platform to success, the blueprint to success is always through areas and dark holes in our lives where we have to face some things that will challenge us, but ultimately really develop us into the man God really wants us to be.
That is so important. So how old were you when you learned that? When did a light bulb come on for you? It's like, okay.
Woo.
Was it at 30? Was it 25? Was
When
it at 50?
When I left the nest.
When you left the nest.
Preacher's kid, drummer, growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, two-family household.
Right.
Influence. I had influence as a young man. I never knew how powerful I was until the teachers in my elementary school, my high school would pull me in to help solve some issues that were going on. Friends, friendships and just troubling times that were happening. I'm 14, 15, 16.
Right.
Just had this old nature about me. I didn't understand the purpose of that at that moment.
Well, did it come from being with your father and growing with brothers?
Yes, indeed. I have 4 brothers and a sister. I'm the middle child.
You're the middle boy.
My dad worked at UPS, started on the truck, and worked his way up to top level supervisor. Mom was at home. I don't say she didn't have a job. She had the hardest job.
Right.
5 crazy boys and a girl. I'm like, how did y'all keep y'all mind?
Right.
So 6 siblings, a father who got up every day, went to work, grew up in the church, so I got preacher's kid. I didn't want to be the PK. I wanted to be a hood rat, All the girls back then, they wanted the hood rat.
Man, it's so funny you said that, because on my last show, I talked, what's one of the things we talked about, because the good girls want bad boys.
Man, it was a stereotype, because you're wanting to conform to what is popular.
Right.
But I stayed true to myself.
Okay.
And that was hard. That in itself as a man was a hard obstacle, to stay true to yourself, because sometimes we think becoming what other people are or being a product of what your environment is a good thing. But if you just wait that thing out, all those girls, now they're like, no, we like this version of D, the open the door, the gentleman. But some of the biggest peer pressures is just going against the norm or the flow for being out of character for what you really was, because it reversed later on in my leadership and my development, going to high school and coming to Fisk University.
Right.
That's when those values and those morals really started to pay off for me,
Gotcha.
to separate myself from
Right.
those and being a platform for others to come.
Right.
But if I would have succumbed to that, maybe they would not have come to me, because they would have said, oh, he's just like everybody else. Just hold it out.
Hold it on, weigh it out. So let me ask you this. Do you think the culture of manhood has changed since our father's days up until now? Do you see the shifting of what the role of manhood is, or culturally, do you see a change?
I mean, I see a little change. I mean, our fathers, and I still deal with this now when I look back and look at what my father had to overcome.
Right.
And I tell people in my white and black circles, when we look at what our grandfathers, my father has never sat down and really shared with me about his childhood. And I would be upset with that. But, growing up in the 50s and 60s, I mean, it wasn't a good time for a lot of black men.
Right.
But for him to go to work, to persevere, to be one of a few black men in corporate at UPS,
Right.
and to overcome. I would hear my mom, kind of comfort him sometimes, because to be in the 70s, right? I'm 5 and 6 years old, and I would see him go to work early, come home late. My mom would always encourage him, because we didn't know what he was facing, being one of a few blacks in a leadership position. But he held it in. He never really shared it.
Right.
And I think that now that he's older and we're older, not sharing it for what manhood was then has become a detriment to who we are today, because we just compressed. And manhood there was, be tough,
Right.
hold it in,
Right.
don't get therapy.
Right.
Church wasn't as welcoming with, as long as you got the Holy Ghost, that'll be
That's it,
fine.
right.
Pray about it,
Right.
and it's gonna be okay.
Right.
But the Bible says he gave some preachers, some pastors, some teachers for the edification of the saints. And I believe that we didn't embrace that fully then. But now manhood should be open, and is more open to men really being vulnerable and saying, I'm not feeling well. And it's not macho.
Right.
Versus then manhood was about how tough you can be to the detriment of your spirit and your soul and your own mental health and wellness. And that's the biggest difference I see now.
That's the biggest difference.
We're more open to and more receptive to a man still being manly and still
Being vulnerable. Right.
And that really is encouraging. That's what real manhood is today.
Well, let me ask you this then. So we talk all the time, and I know some of the struggles that you had faced or battled. How do you balance between Demetrius as the entrepreneur, CEO of Transformational Life Center? I got to come on, be a husband to Vanessa. I got an adult daughter, and I'm still in corporate, you're in tech. So how do you juggle that without losing Demetrius in the whole process?
Right.
And I think sometimes that's where we lose it. We're trying to be all things to all men, but we become a castaway.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I didn't balance it. So if we're going to be transparent today and follow a lot about all the good things, I was terrible with balance.
Okay.
And it was conviction of God that says, how dare you save the world and lose your family?
Yeah.
Save the boys in Brown Boys Read.
Right.
Save all these college students, thousands of college students. Thousands from 2010 all the way to now. And your daughter doesn't have a platform and a structure of a good role model and a good father. So honestly, Charles, I had to repent.
Wow.
Because I'm providing, right?
Right.
That's one you should be okay because I'm providing. No.
Nice neighborhood.
No.
All that.
Time, being present.
Right.
Knowing when to block the distractions from anything outside, and reassuring to your family, your wife and your children, that they are the most important thing in the world. It's the biggest sermon any man can ever preach in his home. And I'm preaching 30 years of ministry,
Right.
7 churches,
Right.
drummer to lead pastor,
Right.
and I'm doing all this, and God convicted me and said, but charity begins at home.
At home.
And so I've had to learn, working and grinding, that provision is one source of manhood, but being present and really allowing your children, your wife, and those who you are responsible for to really just stand up and say, daggone,
Yeah.
my dad is not perfect, but he is there for me. And that simply is what I believe the platform should be for any man, is that you balance out. Don't come on with two phones. kiss your
Right.
wife and you off to the room. I did all of this. And
Wow.
and it's giving us
Was there ever a point where Vanessa's his wife, was there ever a point where Vanessa said, okay, D, we got to do something different because it's affecting our family structure?
Definitely. I mean, it's
Did it make you feel like a less of a man when she told you that?
no, I mean, it was the truth.
Okay.
It was the truth again, and especially in ministry. You know,
Yeah.
do you know how many pastors' families and church leaders' families are just broken? We have the S on our chest.
Yeah.
Right. And everything's going right because we hoop and we preach and we're changing everyone else's lives. And we get in our cars and you have pastors' wives that don't even speak to the husband.
Right.
Ministers who are living separate, children who are angry at the church because they said it stole my dad from me.
Right. And not just that, your ministry is one segment of you, but you're talking about Brown Boys Read. You're talking about Transformers Life. You're talking about the head of IT for the company that you work for. So Vanessa said, D, we got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, she would tell me when Amaya's growing up, she's like, she's just reminded, she's going to get older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I got time. They're 5 and they're 6 and 7. And you look up, you have a 20-year-old.
I know,
who
right?
just opened her salon.
Right.
And the epiphany is, Demetrius, you have to be there for your family and provide more than just the substance of income and everything. It is the presence. It is a wife knowing that we're at dinner and the phones are away and you can look at her and we're not talking transformation life.
Right.
It's not sexy.
No.
When you're on your anniversary and you're talking about everything
budgets and sponsorship. You don't want to hear that.
It consumes your life.
Right.
And that's okay when you're trying to provide, man. But the danger is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? And today it's not for me. My family has and is and will be the center of my focus. I feel complete.
Okay.
That what I have done, my time, my talent, and treasure that I've shared from sports
Right.
to health and wellness to academia.
Right.
I've given away thousands of dollars in scholarships.
You have.
I've spent thousands of hours helping create a pathways to success for underserved youth and college students. It is our time now to celebrate this and create a pathway to success for the Short family. We call it Short Enterprise.
The Short Enterprise.
To be the best.
Yeah.
And don't change anything. Give the same energy.
Right.
Give the same late nights for my wife and my daughter that I gave for everybody else. That's the amazing season that I'm living now. I got my pom-poms on.
Right.
I'm doing the Terra Horns. And my wife's gonna be amazing. My daughter's business gonna thrive. And guess what? Dad and hubby's gonna be right there in the trenches.
In the trenches.
Giving them everything that I gave everyone and everything else that I've been blessed to touch.
When did you learn that? When you turned 50 or we turned 40? What? Because this is a good version of you.
It's been the hints. I've been one. I was voted most involved in high school.
Okay.
16 clubs a year.
D.
Football player.
Right.
I would take off my shoulder pads at a football game, put on the tri-times in the marching band. The team is in
the locker
room, and I'm out. Dun, 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 dun. I'm drumlining,
right?
Taking off the drums, going back in, because I thought being busy meant success.
So what does success look like for you now?
And that's a lie.
That's a lie from the pit.
I don't want to be a person that owns 10 businesses and they all are terrible.
Right.
I cut grass. I cut hair.
Right.
Oh, I'm a plumber. But you're terrible at it all.
There's no fruit.
No fruit in it at all. I have learned the hard way. Minimize to maximize and soar. God showed me 2 years ago, 49th birthday, driving down to Florida by myself for the first time. My sister invited me down to Florida. I'm driving. And I'm weeping. All the residue of all that I've done just start oozing out. And God gave me one big rebuke. He said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And God said, Demetrius, I called you an eagle. And you acting like a pigeon. Pigeons and eagles fly, but the trajectory of their lives look different. Eagles soar.
Right.
pigeons, their brain can't recognize good from bad. They'll
Right.
pack bubble gum, cigarettes, and they'll just work themselves to death. And he said, I called you an eagle. Eagles are strategic.
Right.
They move with ease. And here you are working everybody's programs, building everybody's businesses, pastoring everyone's churches.
Right.
And I gave you a ministry that is subpar because you're overstretched.
Overstretched.
And that's where he said, minimize to maximize and soar. You can't soar because you have so much weight on you.
So how do we as men transform into that though?
Wow.
How do we maximize to minimize?
But you minimize and maximize. For me, it was putting everything on the board, and it was scary. I was like, again, the 16 clubs, and my mom would always say, Demetrius, if you just did this, no, mom, no, I'm in the yearbook, most involved.
Right.
I gotta get German Honor Society. I'm running from meetings and meetings, and I'm there, but I'm not there.
Still making your grades.
Still making my grades, but success isn't, and I have to learn this, it's not being busy.
Right.
It's not what you are on the outside. It's saying, Demetrius, what do? I'm a pretty good motivational and inspirational person who can help you create a pathway to success.
Wow.
Well, what else do you do? That's what I do.
That's what you do.
Well, can you do this? No, you have to have the power to not allow people to pull you into areas that is not your purpose.
Wow.
And so trying to appease everybody.
Right.
And you should always do this. I succumb to people telling me what I should do because I did it pretty well.
Right.
But I'm in a season of my life that I want to thrive in what I was called to do. And that is help people create a path of success and help them to never fall short. Don't fall short. Dream big.
Right.
Find out what those goals are.
Right.
I had to put things on the wall, on the whiteboard. The board was filled. I had to say, why are you doing that? And if I couldn't answer, Charles, I had to take the marker and say, park it.
Park it.
That was one of the hardest things because I'm fighting that busy me.
Busy you.
But to get down to the best version before I die, I want to die empty. Like
you
Malcolm
want to
says.
die empty.
And people say he lived out his purpose.
Yes.
I had to eliminate things that became distractions and became dead weight in my life for me to be this dude before you today that's getting ready to finish off 2024
Right.
and driving into 2025 with focus.
Focus. Right.
And it's going to scare some people because they're going to say, oh, is something wrong? Nope, I'm just strong enough to say I'm going to live out this purpose and minimize and maximize so I can really soar in the gifts, the real gifts that God has given. That's what the world needs. That's what men, they need the best version of me.
The best version of you.
And the truth of me.
The truth of you. So tell us about 2025. What's going on with Demetrius Short?
Wow, again, it's minimizing and maximizing.
Right.
It's 15 years of nonprofit leadership with
Talk about that.
Transformational Life Center.
Okay.
Our mission is simply cultivating future Black leaders to positively impact their community and the world. We are creating a pathway to success for the future Black and brown leaders, not just in Nashville, because students don't always stay here, but we invest in them while we have them here on 7 different campuses here in Nashville. Grew it from Fisk University to now Belmont, Nashville State, Tennessee State, Meharry, Lipscomb. Beautiful 15-year journey. We now have in our hands the future men and the future Black women who are going to be our future pastors, our future doctors, our future leaders. Presidents, and all they need right now is our truth.
Okay.
Those men need true topics on manhood, humility, overcoming obstacles. Our women, they're double minority, they're Black and female. So we're bringing those collegiate students together to create a pipeline into corporate jobs and into entrepreneurship that we're happy to say in 2025 will be 15 years of cultivating future leaders.
Well, one thing I do, you and Vanessa you and your team does an amazing job in orchestrating all that. I had the pleasure of participating in the Brown Boys Read. Tell us about the Brown Boys Read, D.
My little guys, man. Hey, I mean,
Brown Boys Read.
The literacy disease, and I call it a disease, it is a disease. I think Nashville was ranked 12 a few years ago, and I think with all the money the education system has, our literacy issue is still an issue. It's a disease. To have fifth graders who can't read, and to really target the young men who are in the underserved communities, we roll our sleeves up. Our kids are not getting out in Teslas. You know, we really target those low income, underrepresented communities, because those are the boys who really need it, right? Single parents, don't know where my dad is. And we started this program 7 years ago, and the whole mantra of it is inspiring the love of reading through the love of running to help Black and brown boys improve reading proficiency, outrun childhood obesity, and live fuller and healthier lives. One program is helping 2nd through 5th grade boys who are struggling reading. I mean, the tears to see boys, we're looking at them going, how are you in 5th grade? And you can't read. I mean, we're sitting there and I'm going, we got to help. So this program, boys just want to run, right? So we said, I'm a runner, boys, right? They're not going to come to the table just and read, but how about we inspire them through letting them just run off some steam. So we give them Saucony shoes, a Black Man Run shirt. Sponsored by Saucony, 133 pairs of shoes, free to the boys, and we read a book. I am made for purpose. And then while we're running, we stop. And we have comprehension about the book, and we inspire them through running to embrace education and higher learning, and to see these boys' stress go down because we're making it fun for them, and they're seeing, they have to see who we want them to be. I bring plumbers, football players. And if you like what you're hearing on this segment today, I want you to like and follow all of our social media platforms on My Manhood Matters. Ex-felons, we bring them all to the table, and they go, here's my story. It's a little My Manhood Matter, because they have to see who, not everybody's gonna be a football player. They can be IT, plumbers, entrepreneurs. So our first 10 minutes is always meet a plumber, meet this. So the pathway is that you can be more than just a Tennessee Titan. We want you to be that, but you can work at you can go to a 2-year college and get a skills and trade, and open up a pathway for yourself and make great money. But we're doing that early on in their lives, and catching them with their social emotional learning and the trauma they're going through to help break that generational curse of poverty and lack of education early on, so they can go into our leadership academy and into corporate careers.
Let me tell you something. I know the parents are loving that, man. It's not enough of them. Man, you're doing an excellent job. There's a couple more things I want you to say. I was just here thinking about you, D, and I think about all that you've done and what you're gonna do. What is your legacy gonna look like? What do you want your legacy to be?
For me, I want them to say that was a guy that loved hard and gave back. Again, running in that suit, in the steps of this S5K to commemorate my struggle, walking at Fisk University with a 1.8 GPA. Alligator skin shoes on, a brief, man, I was looking the part, 1.8 GPA. Smiling, sleeping in the dorm director's office. The shame, I can't let anyone from Cincinnati see this dude struggle. But God said, you have to come through this because they need to see this version. Nobody wants to read a book about, oh, he was born rich and he died rich. It's adversity, it's heels, it's dead ends and roadblocks, and that's where my story started. I believe people are gonna say that is a guy who was filled with passion to help serve through servant leadership, mankind. And he was kind, he did it with love, and he helped create a pathway to success for some amazing leaders in our city and in our world.
That's amazing. D, where can we find you, man?
Oh, wow. On Instagram, you can find me at Demetrius Short. My new platform is gonna be Mr. Don't Fall Short. That's Mr. Period Don't Fall Short on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn, my first name and last name, Demetrius Short. And then our website for our nonprofit is transformationlifecenter.org. Also stepsofsuccess5k.org if you want to know about the nonprofit. And our nonprofit Instagram handles are TLC_Nash and Steps of Success 5K.
Man, thank you so much, Demetrius, for your time. Thank you for sharing your story to the world.
Honored.
Hey, let me tell you something. He just gave you all his social media platforms. If you're looking for a motivational speaker, a dynamic community leader, this is the man you need to see. His name is Mr. Demetrius Short. Mr. Don't Fall Short. Watch out for this brother in 2025. He's about to do some amazing things. Thank you, D. I appreciate
Thank you, my friend.
All right,
Appreciate the
brother.
opportunity.
All right.
Thank you.
Man, let me tell you something. Y'all, I had to bring Demetrius Short back on because there was so many questions I had to ask him. But not just that, people was asking for him too. So diving back into manhood, D, what do you think is missing besides courage?
The platform.
Talk about that. What you mean?
Simple platform, a safe place. We have to make vulnerability acceptable
How do we do
and
that?
honorable.
Honorable, okay.
Because the challenge is if I feel threatened, if I feel I'm going to be judged, men will never come to the table until we make that normal.
Gotcha.
Here's the key word. We have to normalize.
Normalcy is okay.
Normal, we have to normalize not being okay. We have to normalize brothers coming together and say, I need to talk to you. And it's not, oh man, come on man, you a man, come on, you can get over that. And that makes men say, I should have never done it and I'll never do it again. And now we've lost a brother.
Right.
And it just recently happened with me. I'm dealing with a friend now who just texted me and shared that he feels distant and that people had let him down. And I was getting ready to jump into positive Demetrius. I said, Demetrius, man, I'm soaking it.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I hope I can be here for you to lean on when you are ready. The old Demetrius, oh man, come on, man, come on. You're an entrepreneur, and that in itself would have driven him further away. So we have to normalize situations and scenarios, divorce, separation. I cheated on my wife, I did this, I fell short. We have to normalize a safe space because how will it ever get resolved if we never pull it? I call it, we need Jiffy Lube moments.
Okay, talk about that, Jiffy Lube
Jiffy Lube moments. Jiffy Lube will let you run over that little bing.
Right.
It don't look good, not aesthetics. You know, the coffee's terrible.
Right.
The room is dark, feel like
dirty.
pissing.
Right.
But I said every man needs a Jiffy Lube moment. The scary thing about Jiffy Lube is that when you pull in, they let you keep your car running, they come out, they take your keys, and they walk you through the work zone. As men, we want to work.
Yeah.
I can fix myself.
Right.
Oh, you know what? I don't need no therapy, man. I'm good. I'll pray this through. And here it is 3 and 4 years later. So they walk you through the work zone.
Right.
And men like me who feel they can fix it, you're tempted to try to fix yourself. But then they open that door, they set you in that room, give you that dark, nasty coffee, that little box, and then say, we'll be back in 15 minutes and your car will be changed. They even vacuum your floor, wash the little windows, and then get you on your way.
On your way.
Give you just a moment to just be present with whatever you're going through.
Right.
And that in itself is a true victory for the first step to really overcoming what you're going through. It's just being quiet and having a place to just allow someone to jack you up, change your tires. Charles, I need my oil change, man. Hey, D, come on, let's go grab some dinner.
Right.
We can have more Jiffy Lube moments. I think that's gonna be a new thing, man. Call your best friend, say, hey, I need a Jiffy Lube moment. and go out and make it happen. It's just letting someone else change the area and change the tires or just give you a little maintenance check throughout life.
And that is so amazing because when I have the opportunity to talk to married women, I have to let them know because you're busy, I'm busy, my producer, Danny, is busy. It's the fact that we get so busy and everybody else is happy. And after we be intimate with our spouse or whatever, when we roll over at night, there's like a small tear that comes down our face that I'm screaming on the inside and nobody can hear me.
Wow, I mean, it's that feeling of provision again. We talked about it a little earlier, that feeling of pride that we don't have an outlet. And it's hard because you'll fight with trying to be there for your children and your wife because you don't want them to see weakness.
Right.
But women can truly help by not letting that old manhood hold it in and be tough. I want a strong man. Well, do you want a strong man to the point that he implodes?
Right, exactly.
That he commits suicide
Exactly.
and you go, I didn't know. That home should be a place where he can come in, open that door, and there can be a sense that dad's home or hubby's home, and he can just put his head in your bosom and say, I didn't have a good day today.
And whatever we tell you, don't bring up an argument, hold it against them.
Oh,
because that happens a lot too.
It does on both sides. I mean, it's sabotaging. You know, I would say the 80% of the conversation start off, I didn't like the way you treated me this.
Right.
And then the more you go, I didn't like your mom anyway.
Why we telling I don't like your mom anyway.
I didn't want to get married. And back in fourth grade, you stole my little girl. How did
really? That ain't your daughter anyway.
Now
that's a whole other play.
We're going from my manhood matters to Manhood Matters.
Oh no,
you are not. You know,
yeah.
But I mean, so I think it's our women can help our wives, and our females can really say, man, we want to help you all normalize that being macho or being strong to your detriment.
Right.
That's not a good thing.
Right.
Allow our men to be vulnerable and say, I'm not my best today.
Right.
I'm learning to do that. You know, I texted my wife yesterday. I said I didn't feel good, just to get it through with saying I didn't feel good today, and she gave me, well, I'm praying that God will give you strength. I needed that. Thank you, boo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I can't believe. No, you've never been sick. No, she just gave me.
When you communicate like that, that level of intimacy behind closed doors,
it goes.
It goes a whole. That's hot.
That's hot, man. That is hot. I'm 51. I want no more kids, but man, I'm not. That'll get you in trouble.
Right. I think the brothers. I think we as brothers, we are talking more. I think we are seeking counsel more. But this is one of the detriments that men have. And I don't know if you ever had this conversation with your father. Was there ever a point in your life where you felt like your father wasn't there?
Man, I tell you, my first.
And that you resented.
Oh yeah. Oh, I had one fight with my dad. My dad was head deacon of the church. And this was back, Pentecost Apostolic. This is back in the 78. We were in church 5 days a week.
7 days a week.
Couldn't wear skirts, couldn't go to the prom, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. But I'm popular. I'm a football player.
Right.
And so a lot of the things that, again, it goes back to being present. And the church, did all they can do, right? It was, be at church, and I just wanted my dad to be there.
Right.
And so I held it in, oh, it's okay. I know he's worked. We're always at the church. And then one day, I balled my fist, the anger, because I yelled at him because he would look at the papers. Oh, I hit 3 singles in baseball game. He's reading, look at my son. And I said, Dad, I don't want you to read about me. I want you to see what I do. Especially when you look in the stands.
Right.
And Jimmy's father's there.
Right.
Johnny's mother and father's there.
Right.
And I'm getting rides home. So I resent. It crept up on me. Bitterness resented him because I smiled through it. Because how do you tell your dad, don't go to church? Come see my game. You thought they could have recognized that? And our pastor's son made it to the NFL. And he sat up on that pulpit, and I was so proud of Bishop Johnson. He said, my son made it to the National Football League, and I can't count on 2 hands how many games I saw of him because I was behind this pulpit preaching it down. No pictures, no games. So I lashed out at my dad. I balled my fist. Now I'm sure I'm be honest. Now, the next thing I knew, I was up against that joker lifted. I'm cut.
Right.
I'm cut. I'm about to take this dude. I'm cut. I'm in my prime. I'm 18.
Yourself,
Man, you wake up the next day like, what's the little commercial where the guy at the little officer was if you're being attacked, and in the arms of Jesus.
Right. Yeah, that's what
he lifted me up, had me on the ceiling, and I was gonna leave the house. He said, get out. I said, I'm out. The anger built up that caused me. I'm the neutral kid, but it crept up on me. It was bitterness. So I couldn't tell him, Dad, I want you to not go to church and count money tonight and be there. Can you come to my game? Because I succumbed to what I thought manhood was.
Right.
Providing and working yourself out and not being there. So that was one time, the first time my father and I ever had an altercation. And what healed me was years later. It didn't happen with me.
Okay.
But my 2 younger brothers.
Okay.
When I went to the Wilmington football game and my dad my mom, me and my brothers sat in the stands and watched my two younger brothers play.
Wow.
He healed all of us.
Wow.
I had tears. Now, did I want it? But he got it right.
He got it right.
He got it right. And I had to applaud him. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
For not, there ain't no do-overs. Caskets don't talk back, and
That's
it ain't no
true.
do-overs.
Ain't no do-over.
And that's what healed me to say, I may not have benefited from it,
Yeah.
but thank you, black man,
Right.
for saying, y'all good.
Yeah.
I'm going to see, and come on, short.
Right, right.
Big Daddy here. Oh, man, just hear that voice
Right.
in that stands.
Yeah.
My brother got his eye almost knocked out, man. My daddy here. Put me, stitch them up. My daddy's to the board. But that's what a father's voice will
makes
make you run through walls.
That's true.
And to see him half an eye stitched up and running through, it healed all of us. So that was a moment that healed all of us, me and my older siblings, to see us all be in the stands and see my father really be present and be there.
I'm gonna wrap this up. So, how can sons resolve that with their dads?
Candid conversations.
Okay.
Number one, fathers have to provide the space
Yeah. And humble
for
themselves.
true conversation.
Right. Without getting angry. Without getting.
Don't call me disrespectful.
Right.
Because it gets a little tight.
Yeah.
And we're sharing our truth
Right.
about what we experienced growing up. You have to learn to agree to be disagreeable, but allow sons to really talk about what they saw in the house, and allow fathers, you have to open up your heart. And if it's, son, I did the best I could do. I didn't know that, and here it is. I apologize if that made you feel that way. I cannot go back. I'm not gonna waste time. My thing is now with my family, I control the narrative.
Right.
I want to live out the best that I can and tell my father, thank you. Tell my mother, thank you for what you did. Some things I didn't like. Some things were challenging for me. Sometimes I stayed away because I didn't want to go home. And sometimes some other family members did the work that I thought you should have been doing, putting your arms around you, being in the picture, being at the game, etc.
Right.
It's not to condemn you, but it's to let you know how I feel.
Right.
And so to be able to have that respect, sons have to be respectful. Never let your anger get to a point where you disrespect your parents, because you never know what your father had to endure.
That's right.
Because he didn't have a father who taught him, his father didn't teach him, and they were going through, and it's generational. The true thing is, if you can talk about it, if you can converse about it, true healing starts when there is conversation.
Dee, you have gave us so much information.
I want to have conversations.
It's all about conversations. And it's all about conversations. It's all about conversations.
That's where healing begins.
That's where healing begins. Not just that, it's generational.
Yes.
Because my dad didn't have his dad. And so now let's break this generational curse.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's agree to say, these are the things that stopped us from being great. How can we not pass that attitude, or pass that distance, or pass that lack of presence to the next generation or our grandchildren, so that they can get it right and keep our legacy, the short legacy, living, thriving, and well.
Dee, you always come through for me,
Man,
brother. I
I'm telling you,
appreciate you,
my
man.
friend.
Please give us
Thank
my
you,
love.
man. I will do.
All right,
Thank
man.
you for the time.
Thank
Appreciate
you, man.
And if you like what you're hearing on this segment today, I want you to like and follow all of our social media platforms on My Manhood Matters.